Well, hello, hello, Momma O fans, and guess what? Davey and April had their baby. Yay! Congratulations! And you'll be seeing the video of that probably in about 4
Tell him his
days.
name.
Little Francis Rockwell Orgill. I got to hold him today and everything, so it was really awesome. Yay! The baby's here. And today we are going to tell about random facts about ourselves. So we'll just kind of switch off. I have 25 things. Joe has, Papa has 42. Number 1, I love to sing.
My dream in high school was to be a nuclear physicist, but physics was my worst subject in college. No, that's the best one.
I think hugs are very important. A hug a day keeps the blues away. Okay, your turn.
I slept on beaches in Algeria. Local fishermen fed me. I spoke French with the Arabs. French people camping close by were robbed. An Arab cut through their tent with a knife.
Ooh.
I was sleeping in a bamboo hut. They asked if they could sleep there.
Wow. I have been in 4 different singing groups: the Bueller Sisters, the Orgill Family Singers and Cloggers, Rosie, Sherry, and the Boys, and Pollyanna.
And this is myself again. 5 to 8 years old, I thought new shoes meant replacing cardboard that covered the holes in my soles. And I got carrot and sugar sandwiches for school lunch every day, wrapped in newspaper with thread around them. Thanks, Mom, I love you.
I once babysat 15 children when I was 13 years old for 10 hours and got $5. I never babysat again.
Up until my mold poisoning, the black you see gathering in wet places in old bathroom or sinks, I would go years without flu, a cold, or any kind of health problems.
I am 6th of 15 children.
Okay, my dreams are always the same. In a foreign country, trying to find my belongings, money, or what city I'm in, or how to get home, and talking in one of the languages I know.
His actual dreams that he has. I have written 1 adult book for moms and 4 children's books, and I want to write more.
When I was little, I usually took a hatchet to cut down trees and build forts. When I played in the forest in Vancouver, BC, Canada, at 5 to 8 years old. This is where I was born. So fun to climb super high evergreens and look over the Fraser Valley to the river.
My chores on the farm when I was growing up was to milk and feed the goats, feed and water the chickens, around 200 of them, and milk the cows.
I attended 1 birthday party at 7 years old, and the parents sent me home. I wasn't invited. That was okay with me.
I was very shy in school and sometimes would go all day without saying a word, and now I love to talk.
In 1976, at a community college, I thought computer programming was learning to operate a card punch. Programs were punched on cards, 1 line of code for every card.
I love to play the guitar and sing and make up songs.
I skipped my bachelor's graduation, Bachelor of Arts at University of Utah, to leave on a bike trip from Salt Lake to across the United States, crossed where the Great Lakes meet, through thick forest to Quebec, Canada, north of New York State, 2,555 miles. Toughest hill was Parley Summit, 7,250 feet. Learned how to fend off a variety of dog attacks. Was able to avoid bears. Always slept outside. Averaged 100 miles a day. And my best day was 160 miles. My worst, 13 miles. Stormy weather and tornadoes. Stayed in Trois-Rivières, Quebec, Canada for the summer. 99% French speaking.
Wow. When I was in junior high, I had skinny legs and I would wear 3 pairs of pants to make my legs look fatter.
Oh. Because of eczema, I didn't learn to swim till I was 19 at University of Utah in a PE class, and we swam in the nude. Regulations because cotton trunk fibers would clog water filters.
Oh, dear. I love summer nights.
Oh, I hitchhiked in North Africa through Morocco into Algeria. Had to avoid dangerous Arabic tribes in the deserts. No Muslim women are outside. Not allowed to speak to men.
I love country music.
I love my children, spouses, and grandchildren much more than I appear to.
I have 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. I had boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. My first 3, I had medication. My last 3, I had natural because the medications were not working. I loved the natural way better.
I have no memory of any Christmases or birthdays as a child. I do remember cutting down a fir tree and bringing it home for a Christmas tree. We lived in the woods. Wasn't sure what the big deal was about Christmas.
My favorite color is blue.
In the town of Bingham, I almost always took a .22 caliber rifle with me on hikes when I was 14 or 15 years old in the Ochre Mountains. Almost all teens bought and owned rifles, along with their parents. Came home after dark once with a fire torch I made from mining supplies we found. Our day hikes were always fun.
I think sunsets are beautiful.
I once shot a porcupine in the mountains and skinned it and tried to roast it. It was so skinny I threw it away after I burned it cooking.
Oh dear. I love to hold a sleeping baby.
Once in Paris, France, I was broke trying to come home. Sold belongings in subways to raise money for a charter plane ticket to New York. It took about 2 weeks hitchhiking across the United States in the dead of winter. In Paris, I knew how to get on the subway without paying to get to my English lessons I gave. I started to eat a rabbit's cooked head, and the kids at the family laughed at me.
Oh dear. I hate to hear alarms.
I have trouble smiling, and often people say, "What's the matter?" And that annoys me.
I used to ride horses bareback all the time, but now I get a bit nervous around horses.
My first kiss and date were at 16 years old. It took me 3 hours to finally kiss her.
Wasn't me.
By then it was 2 a.m. and my mom was furious. She never let me use the car again, and I didn't ask.
I didn't ask. I grew up in a small cinder block house with an outdoor toilet, and I bathed in a tin tub and never had indoor water until I was 11 years old, and slept in a back room with my sisters with no heat.
I have trouble smiling.
You
Often
read that
people. Oh,
next one. Down.
You're right. I ran one marathon and many 5, 10, and half marathon, 5, 10K and half marathons.
I will only read nonfiction. I think fiction is a waste of time.
I agree totally, hon. I knew after one date I wanted to marry Roseanne. I was 34. She was 18. I didn't think it could happen because I was older and inactive in the church. I activated, and we have been married 39 years next year.
Actually 45 now.
Now it's 45.
Now it's 45. I love to be with my grandchildren.
I visited and lived in about 28 countries, city-states like the Vatican, Andorra, Monaco, etc., over a period of 6 years, learning French, Spanish, Italian, German, Swedish. Also can read Portuguese and Catalan and a few Latin dialects still in existence. I'm always speaking one of those languages when I dream.
I think my children and their spouses and grandchildren are gifts from heaven, and I feel blessed for having them in my life.
In northern Norway, I was blown away to see the sun just moved in a circle overhead during June, that is, during the so-called night.
I think me and my husband make a good team, and I am excited to go through eternity with him. I love you, Joe.
Oh, I love you too.
Whoa. You're welcome.
I've never asked anyone for money my whole life, including when I was penniless in Paris. I always saw homeless people worse off than me that touched my heart. I gave them more when I had less.
It's true. I love little children and how they make life as sweet as it can be. And I love to hold them because I feel that little children are one step away from heaven. And that is the end of my list. And that was a lot of fun.
So I gotta keep going.
Yeah, you gotta finish yours.
No, I'm enjoying this.
I know, okay. I'll try and think of some other ones that aren't on my list. Papo has 42 of them. And I had 25.
Kids love rollerblading at the Notre Dame. As I noticed when I was 6 months in Paris, I hung out mostly with French students, parties and dancing. Lived about, 6 months. Okay. I've slept with a pillow over my head since I was 12 years old when I saw my uncle sleeping that way. I think Rochelle saw me sleeping that way once, and the rest is history.
And I have one. When I played Red Rover, send so-and-so on over, and I got one of my teeth knocked out.
Which one?
Front teeth or something.
Oh.
Because I don't know, it's a rough game. Okay.
I'll just read one more.
Okay. No, you can finish them. I'll be thinking of others someday.
I took up inline skating, that means rollerblading, at 61 years old. And a year or so later, overconfident, I was going too fast down Parley's Canyon and right next to the runaway truck lane, skating way too fast. I went out of control, falling, breaking my nose 2 places, knocking out a lot of my front top teeth, ripping up my face, knee, and hands. 12 years later, I still skate. But now, it's quite a bit later, so I don't skate anymore. I think I skated actually one more year after that.
Yeah. And I taught aerobics over at the church house for 10 years, once for 3 times a week. Okay.
At 73 years old, I ran with my wife 3 of my 6 children in Desert News Classic.
And I am a barefoot runner.
Half marathon. There were 900 runners. I got an award, first place in my age. We ran as a family while kids were growing up. We all still run. Roseanne?
And now I ran competitive, in races for 10 years, and I was in the top 10%.
Okay. Will you show Mola?
Oh, we've done that already.
Math was always hard for me. But with discipline and dedication, I got A's in calculus.
I started running when I was 32 years old. Okay.
It's kind of funny, your dumbness. I once went to 10 different fortune tellers in Vancouver, BC, where I was born, to see if they could tell me if I would get back with an ex-girlfriend. They call themselves...
This is before we were married.
They call themselves either white or black witches. The white ones tell good things about your future, the black ones tell bad things.
And I have never run a marathon.
In junior high, I was a nerd with glasses. The class bully kept asking me to go outside and fight with him. I was terrified and prayed a lot about it. One day, I just said yes. We had 3 fights the same day. The third one, he quit and never bothered me again. At a LDS, that means Mormon, seminary party, I borrowed my stepdad's newest army shirt and ironed it so I would look nice.
I once rode a horse that did not have horseshoes on, and it bucked all the way across the church house field, and I was so scared.
As a teenager, I scaled an 80-foot high steel bridge, railroad bridge between 2 small mountains. Yes, it was dangerous.
And I ran in a competition, I ran for Miss American Fork, but I did not win.
My brother and I explored caves up in the mountains by the Kennecott copper mine. And I climbed, and it was honeycombed with mine shafts and caves.
And I learned how to sew by sewing Barbie doll clothes.
I lived in Sweden for a couple of months with some friends. In 2 to 3 weeks, I was speaking only Swedish with everyone. because German and English are related to Swedish. Grammar and vocabulary are similar.
And I love to perform in front of people. And the first time I saw someone perform, I think I was about 10, and I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Going 2 more pages.
Okay.
I keep going.
Yeah, keep
There'll
going.
just be one. Once I rode an old army ship, converted to student ship from Genoa, Italy to New York. It was slow but cheap. The larger ships would make it in 3 or 4 days, and it took us 10 days to cross the Atlantic.
First time I rode an airplane was when Davey was 2 months old, and we flew to Denver, Colorado.
I lived for 1 year in Florence, Italy, where Da Vinci and Michelangelo walked and started the Italian Renaissance. Michelangelo carved the famous David statue from a huge cracked block of marble at 26 years old. Florence, Italy, my all-time favorite city of the world. Florence, Italy, all my favorite. I said that. We wrote it down twice.
Oh, my favorite subject in school is math.
Well, it's because you got good grades, huh?
Mm-hmm.
People that do math can do anything. At my mom and dad's divorce, I changed my name from Wallace Chuck to Orgill, which was my mother's maiden name and also my stepfather's name. We were 4th cousins. My father was not happy about that.
I have never broken a bone.
Wow. My favorite country is Italy. The language seemed easy, grammar and vocabulary. Because of my French and Spanish, Italians are annoyingly loud sometimes, but have hearts of gold. I lived in Florence for a year and taught English at Berlitz. Go ahead.
I love being with my family. And growing up, I loved being with my sisters, and people would be surprised that I liked being with them.
I went to Sicily, where the headquarters of the mafia are, and they still are today, and I asked about them in a small cafe. I was told they don't bother people locally. They are still very active, organized crime and family killings.
Oh dear. When I was growing up, in the summer we would sleep outside in the treehouse and go on midnight walks.
Once, where I lived in a copper mine, we lived just it just winded around the mountains. It says, and a long hike, all-day hike, my brother and I were on. We saw a wild horse maybe half-mile away on the other side of the mountain, and it scared me. He started running in our direction, and he was probably half a mile, 3/4 mile away, but it scared me, and I started running down the mountain. He probably were the only humans he'd seen, and he was glad to see somebody.
When our kids were little, we had a cougar in the backyard that killed our rabbits.
In the Bingham Mountains, where the giant copper mine was, where we lived, the quickest way up the mountain behind my house was steep, rocky area. We lived between the houses in a one-road mining town where gambling was legal. The house of prostitution was across the street from the police department. They didn't care. I liked rolling rocks down from far up. One went too far and went through the roof of a garage. I returned home a different way. I didn't get caught. Okay.
I still haven't thought of one yet. Keep going.
Okay. I'm on next to the last.
Okay.
I once had a job at a bowling alley. We called it setting pins. Because every time somebody bowled, I manually had to pick up the pin and put it on a dot. And the pins would fly high. And I would sit on a little thing right between the two lanes or alleys.
And set the pins.
Set the pins. I loved doing it because I got paid really well, except when they had tournaments and the pins went flying.
Watch out.
I know.
And when I was a kid, we planted 10 acres of tomato plants.
Wow.
Took us a week, 2 weeks.
When I lived in the Bingham city, which was a small town up in the mountains, by the Kennecott Copper. The grocery store I worked in was across street from a small morgue. My boss sometimes would send me over to help the mortician move bodies frequently. It was not cool when one stiff was heavy set guy that didn't jump on the volunteer fireman truck fast enough. That was moving down the canyon towards the fire and tripped and hit hard on the pavement. He was heavy to lift, over 200 pounds. It was also creepy.
I would not like to do that.
Joe, if you say, Joe, so-and-so needs you over at the morgue.
And are you done with your list?
Yes.
And me and Joe have been married 45 years. I was 18. He was 34 when we got married, and we have had 6 children. Boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, and now 28 grandchildren. 15 girls and 13 boys.
How do you remember that?
It's in the song.
Oh.
Well, I hope that was fun for you guys, and make sure you keep the questions coming.
Much.
I don't think they were bored. It's pretty interesting. It's funny how different our lives were, and that we met and we're married, and it's interesting to hear each person's life. And thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Remember to look for the rose, and we'll see you all next week. And good night, everyone.
I have one thing to add.
Oh, one more.
I've composed one song in my life. It was about meeting Roseanne. And here I'm wandering around Europe looking for a girl I could marry in the Mormon temple. And the chorus of the song was, she was right in my backyard. I could have kicked my pants. Okay, let's see. I've traveled around practically all of my life, searching and searching for the perfect wife. I traveled to Europe and Paris and France. She was right in my backyard. I could have kicked my pants. That's it.
Okay, here's a quote. I think at a child's birth, if a mother could ask a fairy godmother to endow it with the most useful gift, that gift should be curiosity. Eleanor Roosevelt.
I think kids have that anyway.
Anyway, yes. Yeah. Well, thank you and good night. Remember to look for that rose and keep the questions coming.
If anybody made it to the last part of my thing, thank you very much.
If you made it all the way through. Oh, dear.